Good day traders, this is Stefanos on behalf of Tixee, and in today's webinar we'll be giving an outlook of the market for the week of the 6th until the 10th of June. Looking at some of the highlights for next week, we'll be looking at Amazon as well as eBay, who both had their coverages resumed by JMP Securities. As always, please note that all of the ideas discussed in this webinar are my own opinions and do not make up for any form of investment, trading advice, neither any recommendations to buy or sell. You should always do your own research and due diligence before buying or selling any securities, financial products, or instruments, and whether you use any kind of trading strategy. Any information that relates to past performance is not indicative of future results. So, looking at stocks, as we mentioned during the intro, we had both Amazon and eBay, which had their coverage resumed by the brokerage firm JMP Securities. Now, a coverage resumption, what essentially means is that it is quite important, first things first, to traders, because it basically signifies that the analysts, in this case from JMP Securities, will continue to monitor a particular stock, in our case Amazon and eBay, and providing price and rating updates along the way. So far, Amazon were issued a revised price target of from $3,600 to $3,450. So you can see that even though it declined, the actual price target is still well above the current levels right here. It's actually higher, $1,000 higher from here. So yeah, it was a decline, but we can see that with the price target, they're still aiming for further upside, which is something that we could start potentially seeing in the next couple of weeks, as we did have a pretty sharp sell-off, and we're either gonna get either a strong rebound and resumption of the overall trend, which is obviously towards the upside. Whatever the case may be, we can expect some potential upside in the next couple of days, seeing as how we broke these levels, and we could look into retesting them. These levels are sitting towards the upper 2,700s, so it's close to the 3,000 mark, almost like it's going to be roundabout in this area. So yeah, definitely a stock worth keeping an eye on in general, not just now because we had the coverage being resumed, because obviously it is a stock that can move on any given day. On the flip side, we haven't had really any specifics as far as eBay goes. But again, just like Amazon, it's still worth keeping an eye on, as they're likely to get some further announcements in the coming days or weeks, not just from JMP Securities, but maybe even in general. So yeah, this is with regards to stocks. Then we're going to move on to Forex, and we're going to be having a look at the economic calendar specifically, which is something, again, that you can very easily find from the homepage of Tixee, and not just navigating to the Education and Research tab, and then you can just click on the economic calendar. We're going to be readjusting the data here. Just before we do that, actually, something worth noting for next week is that it's going to be public holidays in several countries in the EU, so you can view them right here. If you just filter to the low impact events, you're going to be able to see which countries. We're also going to have Memorial Day in Korea, Queen's birthday in New Zealand, as well as some of the countries not in the EU. So looking at the actual financial events, we're going to set it again next week, but this time I'm going to switch to the medium and high impact events. Again, keep a note of the time here. Obviously, you want to adjust it according to your time zone, so you can then make sure that you're looking at the correct timings. So yeah, like we said, Monday is going to be a public holiday in quite a few European countries. So things are expected to be somewhat slower as far as these markets specifically. And as you can see from the economic calendar, we also don't have any other high impact events coming from the US at least. Then looking towards Tuesday, this is when we're going to start picking things up from. So we're going to have the interest rate decision, as you can see here, from Australia, which is going to be released at 5:30 in the morning. And then towards midday and early afternoon, we're going to be having trade balance figure both from the US as well as Canada, which obviously are both high impact events as well. Then moving on to Wednesday, we're going to be having GDP data coming out from Japan. Again, it's going to be in the morning hours in the UK. And then it's going to be followed by the business confidence figure from Australia, again in the early hours. Then moving on to more towards the regular trading hours of the EU, we're going to be having unemployment figures coming out from Switzerland. Again, always it's good to make use of this little tooltip here, because it can give you an idea of the volatility that you can expect in the hours following the event. Then moving towards the proper London EU session, we're going to be having GDP data coming out of the Eurozone, and this pretty much wraps up the events for Wednesday. Moving on to Thursday, we're going to be having the trade balance figures coming out of China in the morning. Obviously, you don't need to be specifically trading the Chinese yuan, but because it's one of the world's largest economies, so the trade balance figure is expected to cause some volatility in the markets at least. Then towards midday, the all-important interest rate decision from the EU, where they are expected to keep the rates unchanged. And then finishing the day off, we're going to be having two speeches from members of the Bank of Canada, one of them being from the Bank of Canada Governor Macklem as well. It's going to be at 4 in the afternoon again, UK time. And then finishing things off on Friday, going to be having inflation data coming out of China. It's going to be released in the early morning hours, which is then going to be followed by inflation data from the US towards midday. And then also employment data from Canada. So basically 1:30 UK time, we're going to have quite a number of events being released round about at the same time, which obviously can bring some added volatility in the markets. Yeah, this is with regards to the FX events. Since we're looking at the calendar itself, let's not also forget the crude oil inventory report, which is going to be released as the usual. It's going to be, let me just scroll up to make sure, it's going to be Wednesday, and it's going to be at 3:30 in the afternoon UK time. Some of their key headlines with regards to oil is of course still the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia, as well as any further comments with regards to rate hikes in the US, which obviously it's not just about oil but also gold as well, which is likely going to be affected by this same announcement as well. If we look at gold specifically, we did have prices staging a minor comeback, but we can see it pretty much retrace towards back into the opening level last week. And the reason for that is obviously we had the 10-year treasury yields dipping, which obviously can increase demand and the attraction for the yellow metal. So yeah, these announcements are obviously something that, like we said, affects both oil and gold. And then lastly, we're going to be looking at cryptos and Bitcoin specifically. Let me just pull up the chart here. Just remove the moving averages. And let's set it to the weekly time frame. So as we can see, like over the course of the last couple of weeks, we've been heavily discussing this particular key structure level. Last week we saw it actually breaking and seeing it potentially closing below these levels. If it had done so, the next area we'd be expecting prices to face some sort of a resistance will be around the 20,000 mark. But we can see it here that prices, they did breach this level. However, they still haven't closed the level specifically. So what we could be seeing right here is maybe some trapped sellers. So people who are actually waiting for the level to be breached but not closed. So basically anticipating the breakout, they could be having sell orders sitting in these levels below. Again, this is obviously hypothetically speaking. So all of these people who were triggered short here are obviously trapped now if prices are trading currently right now. The most logical place maybe to place stop losses would be either right up here above the high, or even they're being a bit more generous, they could be placing them all the way up here. Whatever the case may be, so obviously they're trapped now. So if we see a run up to this high here, we can expect people being stopped out and maybe adding some further buying pressure to prices and maybe seeing them move higher. Again, it really depends what it's going to be doing around this level. As you can see right here, it's still pretty much trading right on the dot, which is the 29,356, which is the yellow line that I marked right here. So obviously it's in times like this, I think it's important to be patient and not jump on the trades too early, giving it a little bit of wiggle room, and obviously not just setting pending orders, let's say $2-3 below this level, and just waiting and letting the markets show you its hand so you can position yourself better when the actual move takes place. Whatever the case may be, I do expect the price move to be somewhat explosive, seeing as how we've been consolidating here for, let's say now, 3 second month, more or less, we've been consolidating in this area right here. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on Bitcoin if it's something, if cryptos is the asset class of your choice with regards to trading, as we could get some big movements in the next couple of weeks. And again, as always, just try to be patient when looking at this level and not jumping way too early and getting chopped out, because obviously what we don't know is how long this consolidation phase can last. It can last a year for all I know. So yeah, this is why it's important just to be patient, give price some wiggle room, and when the time comes, then you can position yourself better in the market as well. And yeah, there you have it as far as the outlook for next week's markets. I hope you enjoyed the video and you found it useful, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Until then, trade safe.